Today's guest is Jill Stanton. She is the host of the Screw the 9 to 5 podcast and Millionaire Girls Club podcast. Jill and her husband are digital nomads. They live and work from all over different parts of the world. They have a truly freedom lifestyle. And we're going to start today by pulling back the curtain on what it's really like to be a digital nomad with a child. And not only that, but during a global pandemic. Now, Jill will reveal the must-haves before buying your one-way ticket. Then we're going to talk about 3 ways that you can get traffic for your online business quickly. Okay, these are not middle-of-the-road ideas, things you've heard before. Jill is going to share with you actionable and actually quite surprising ways of getting your message out there in front of thousands of your dream clients. And get this, without paying a penny. This is not paid advertising. This is free methods of getting in front of people. Finally, we will talk about the biggest internal blockers that you might be facing right now and how you can overcome them. You are in for such a treat with today's podcast. Jill, thank you so much for being on the show. First of all, let's start with a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so I'm one half of Screw the 9 to 5, and that's my husband's and my site that we started back in 2013. And then I have another site or another business called Millionaire Girls Club. And so Josh and I first started our businesses together back in 2012, the year we were getting married. So note to anyone thinking about doing that, don't do that. It's just a whole slew of emotions in your first year of getting your business off the ground and then to get married. Anywho. And we had a network of affiliate sites. We had built it up to over 30 different sites. And as we were starting to grow this business, people just started to asking us like, how are you guys making money? Like, what are you guys doing? Are you drug dealers? What's happening? You're traveling heaps, you're making cash, and you never work. And it was actually on our wedding week in Costa Rica. We were sitting on the balcony, listening to Bob Marley, having a rum or two before our guests arrived. And we were about to move over to Thailand, which has a big digital nomad community there. And Josh was saying to me, like, we should start documenting everything that we're doing because we keep getting the same questions. And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. And I can send it to my mom so she can watch our travels. And Josh was like, well, what should we call it? And thanks to Costa Rican rum, I was like, screw the 9 to 5. And both of us were like, I wonder if that's available. And so we snatched it up and we kind of sat on it because we had never built a personal brand before then. We just had a whole bunch of like single product websites, a couple big blogs, but never really our names and faces out there. And so we didn't know what the heck we were doing. We were just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what worked. And for the first year, we just struggled. Like we tried to launch a course. It sold 0. I ugly cried. It was just like, it was rough, but it was also one of the most pivotal moments in our journey because it taught us to start teaching what people are actually interested in. Like start pre-selling your ideas, start pre-selling your offers, start asking people what they want, what they think they need. And so that was just such a crucial left turn for us because we started teaching what we knew and teaching what was making us money. And I'm so sorry if you can hear the gardeners outside. Of course, they just started like whipper snipping or whatever it is. And from there, everything started to roll for us. We started, selling more of our courses, running webinars. We opened up a free Facebook group that blew up. Then we opened up a membership and everything just started to roll for us. And at the, in 2018, we had our son. And turns out having tiny humans will cause you to readjust your priorities. And we scrapped everything. We cut everything that was no longer serving us in our business to realign ourselves with our values and who we want, who we wanted to be as parents, who we wanted to be as business owners and just people in general. And so at the end of 2018, we cut everything that was no longer serving us to hit the reset button in 2019, rebuilt everything, made our entire 2018 income in the space of 9 weeks, and really started to rebuild Screw the 9 to 5 to be exactly what we wanted, teaching people how to create freedom, financial, personal, location, time, any kind of freedom that they want through courses and coaching programs. So that's how we got here.
I love
Long-winded story.
That's fantastic. It's inspiring that you have that freedom to live and work wherever you want. That freedom lifestyle is something that our community and our listeners and viewers love. A lot of them have it. A lot of them are working towards it, and it's very inspiring. We're going to talk about 3 ways that people can get traffic right now for their online business. But before we do, let's talk about being a digital nomad. Is it for everyone? What are the pros and cons?
Certainly not for everyone. A lot of people can't handle the transient nature of it. 2, you have to be agile and flexible and open to change and social, right? Like otherwise, how are you going to meet people in whatever new hotspot you're in? And also, especially right now, like not a lot of people have the stomach for, oh my God, should I be traveling right now? And I have a whole bunch of other opinions about that, because just like you are in control of how you want to live your life, no matter what is going on in the world. You have control over your own personal freedom. And I think a lot of people are currently abdicating that control and freedom, and allowing, whoever to dictate how they live their life. And it doesn't have to be that way. There are families and people who are going traveling and still living their life how they want to live, and just taking the necessary precautions and being respectful. But it is absolutely possible to do it even during these crazy ass times. But yeah, I think it takes a certain level of, I think there's a barrier to entry here. Not everyone wants to uproot their life. A lot of people think that they can't do it because, oh, my kids are in school or this or that. I mean, that's not really an excuse now, because not many kids are in school. And I feel like we just experienced a big domino to get the world online and change the face of education. So a lot of these like restrictions that we used to make excuses around, oh, my kids are in school, oh, I have to go into work or anything like that. We're just in this new digital era where living and working remotely is becoming the new norm. And so you have to have a stomach for it, for sure, and be open to the discomfort. I think that's probably a common trait, is a lot of digital nomads. They're open to discomfort. They lean into discomfort, especially the most successful ones, the ones who are actually making really great cash. They know that their environment matters. And so they put themselves in the environments that inspire them, that help them live the kind of lifestyle they want without having to fork out tons and tons and tons of money. So,
yeah. How do you think about schooling? You said your child was born in 2018. So I guess they're about 2 or 3 now.
He's almost 3. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you think about school for him, like in years to come?
I actually have met a woman here in Puerto Rico who is completely disrupting and redefining education. She is creating a charter school called the Illuminated Life Academy that teaches kids innovation, technology, entrepreneurship, sustainability, consciousness. Like, she is completely disrupting how they do school or how they do typical education. And so I'm all in on her system. She has online and offline programs. And so also, my kid's only 3, right? So, or not even, he's turning 3 at the end of February. And so right now, Josh and I, we take on that and we hire people to help us. Like, childcare is our biggest personal investment because 1, we love it. 2, we want it. 3, we believe in surrounding our son with, nannies who support him and give him the attention he deserves and will help him learn. And right now he's in swimming lessons and music classes. And there's a really cool dynamic way that you can educate your kids that doesn't look like, quote unquote, typical education. And also I truly believe that it's our job as parents to be responsible for their education, whether we choose to homeschool, outschool, unschool. There's so many things that I'm learning lately, or hire teachers or hire nannies, or we homeschool, like whatever it is, you are responsible for the education your kid gets, and just making sure that they feel fully supported and that you're leaning into their interests and encouraging where they want to go and what they want to learn about and where their strengths lie, and helping them lean more into that and broaden their horizons that way.
I think you're such an independent thinker, and I find that very inspiring. What can we do, myself, our listeners, our viewers, what can we do to think more independently?
Mm. Unplug from the news, please. Like, the best thing you could do for yourself right now is to stop watching the news. I've I've talked to people, we coach hundreds and hundreds of people inside Screw the 9 to 5, and you can always tell the difference. People who are plugged into the news, watching this like crazy fear mongering, like 24/7 chaos, they show up in a very disempowered, stressed out, fearful kind of way versus the others who are like, I don't want any part of that. I'm going to do my own independent research and I'm going to form my own opinions and I'm going to take control of my life and my future and live the way I want to. You can always tell the difference between those two people. And who succeeds? The people who are empowered and who take control of their life and don't rely on external sources and powers and all this kind of stuff to create the life that they want. You are in control of it. You have your own responsibility, and not just like responsibility, response ability, your ability to choose your response to any given situation that you find yourself in, any given circumstance. Because the way you the problem, who has said this? I don't remember who quoted this, but the problem is never the problem. It's always how you think about the problem, right? And so choosing to be a free thinker and not just like consume the nonsense that is spoon fed to us right now, because if you are plugged into the mainstream, like, you're missing half the story, half the argument, half the narrative. And so I really think it's important, especially now with everything that's going on, to really do your own research and question, like, is that really true? And do I want to believe that? And do I want to live that way? How do I want to live? What are my values? What's important to me? What do I want to create? How much money do I want to make? Where do I want to live? Who do I want to surround myself with? Start asking yourself those questions versus just going with the flow of what everyone says you should do. You'll start like, stop shooting on yourself and start making your own damn decisions.
What state does someone's finances need to be in order to make that decision to go digital nomad? Like, what preparation financially do people need to do?
I think it's always smart to have a runway of at least 6 to 12 months. Like, I'm never going to be the type of person who says, you should just burn the boats and go all in when you don't have your finances in order, you don't have a runway. Especially if you have debt, like, please take care of everything that you need to take care of before you're just like, F it. I'm out. I'm quitting my job. Right? Like, make sure you have the conversations with the people you need to have the conversations with. Make sure you have a runway, because if you don't have that and you're just like, F it, I'm all in, which by all means, if that's your style, like, have at it. That's personally my style. So I was like, fuck it, I'm all in. But if you are going to do that, if you are F it, I'm all in, make sure that you aren't making decisions based on financial insecurity or financial desperation. Because when you find yourself in that mode of like, oh my God, I need this to make money, I need this to work, I need this to make money, I need to make money, I need to make money, I need to make money, all you're doing is focusing on the fact that you are not making money, and that is perpetuating that situation, that circumstance, that state for you, and prolonging it. And because of that, you will start to make financially desperate decisions, taking on clients that aren't really a fit for you, that drain your energy, that are time sucks, that just complain all the time, that don't take action or responsibility. And so when you give yourself the space to breathe and the money to go along with that, like, when you have a runway, you just release the vice grip on, quote unquote, needing it to work right now, which is a big trap I see a lot of people stuck in. And then they get in this loop of like, it's not working. It's not working. Oh my God, it's not working. I might have to go back to my job. Oh my God, what should I do? And then they get in the spiral and they just start, like, I call it thought stacking. Like, they just call up all these negative thoughts and it just starts to swirl, and it creates so much anxiety and stress for them. And it doesn't have to be that way. Especially if you just like take stock of like how much you actually need to make, and what expenses are not actually necessary that you could cut, and how could you live frugally for at least a year in order to build up this runway so you can live the kind of life you want, right? So it's just about determining your threshold for risk and uncertainty, and then building your plan around that, because I truly believe the quality of your life and the quality of your business is determined by how much uncertainty you can handle in in any given point.
Mm. Let's talk about these 3 ways that we as digital entrepreneurs, or passion fighters, as our community call themselves, how can we get traffic online quickly?
One, well, if you're really after it, if you really want it to be quick, you would pay for it, right? You'd pay to play. You'd pay for Facebook ads, YouTube ads, whatever your pick your poison, right? So number 1, paid traffic is always easy. Number 2, getting on other people's podcasts or video shows or blogs or social media shout outs who have the audience that is aligned with who you want to serve and what you have to say. And so paid traffic, visibility work, like getting on podcasts. And then another one is now I'm not the biggest fan of social media because I feel like social media is designed for you to work for it, not for it to work for you. But if you feel called to build like this rockin' social media profile and like spend all your time on IG or whatever it is, have at it. I like doing kind of like the shortcuts. So maybe signing up for something like Haro or Haro, however you say it, and start doing media queries and start submitting quotes or little snippets that you can get featured in big publications. You know, you can start submitting content to places like entrepreneur.com or Forbes.com does a lot of queries on Haro and Fast Company and Success and Money and all these big publications, or start guest posting, right? Like start opening up a Google search, brain dump a list of synonyms that are related to your niche. So for me, that would be like online marketing, make money online business, internet marketing, whatever, social media, whatever. And then put your synonym in the Google search bar, and then in quotes, put right for us. So online marketing, quotes, right for us. And what that'll do is tell Google that you only want to see results from sites that are related to online marketing and have the words right for us. Or you could use something like contribute, guest post, guest blogger, anything like that. And Google will bring up all these sites that are related to your niche and have the words right for us, contribute, whatever. And typically that'll take you to a page that is their submission guidelines or talks about how to write for them. And you can start building links to your site and getting the word out there. So if you do really want to start getting traffic really fast, you have paid ads, media, visibility work. And then I'll throw in a bonus tip, which is like start your own free Facebook group. Those are one of the easiest ways to start building an audience and start getting the word out there and building brand recognition and start getting your first few clients and customers. So
actionable advice. I love that. Let's talk about how do you get on people's podcasts. That was number 2. We'll jump into number 3 as well in a second.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you do that?
What I would do is I would just open up the iTunes directory and I would find your particular niche. Like for me, that's the business category. And then I would use marketing, the subcategory. And I would just start looking through like, what are some of the biggest podcasts I know? Who has up-to-date content, right? Because some people just don't even make it past like their first 10 episodes. They're like, shit, this is hard. I give up. So look for the shows that are actually continuously updating their content. Go to their show page, start finding their contact info, and do your research. Like listen to some of their episodes to see their vibe and what they're talking about and the kind of topics they're looking for. One thing I say, like we get so many podcast pitches for Screw the 9 to 5. And people just send these boilerplate templates that are just like so unaligned with what we try to do over on the Screw, right? And it's such an easy no for me because I'm like, you didn't even take into consideration our audience. And here's one thing you have to remember. When you're pitching yourself to someone else's show, make it about their audience, not you, not your cool story of how you like wrote your book and quit your job and whatever it is, like yawn. Come up with topics that are unique and related to their audience and will allow you to show up and serve without ever expecting anything back from them. I think if you can show up in that vibe, like I'm here to serve and I'm here to create audio magic for you or with you, you will start booking a lot more shows than like Lisa's story on how she quit her job and went on to make millions. Like been there, done that, homies. It's 2021, like start coming up with fresh content ideas that stand out, that make people want to book you. Because you are not the only one doing this. There are tons of people wanting spots on other people's shows. And so you really have to bring your A game when it comes to topics, because I think topics are the currency of podcasts.
That's right. Have you ever paid to play on podcasts, for example, sponsoring or paying to be a guest or anything like that?
No, but I would be open to it for Millionaire Girls Club. With Screw the 9 to 5, we kind of got a good thing going. And so, the brand's been out there for almost 8 years now, and we've got some good connections and all that kind of stuff. And we get asked to do podcast interviews quite often. But for Millionaire Girls Club, I would definitely consider it, assuming the show was relevant to who I'm trying to attract. Like I ain't going on a dude show and then talking about Millionaire Girls Club and paying money for that. Like, not a chance.
Yeah,
So I would have to make sure that the caliber is there for me.
Yeah, cool. Although what's very interesting, it wasn't intentional, but our audience is about 65, 70% female.
What's up, ladies?
Yeah, I know, right? They're awesome. I think it's amazing because, and in our higher level mastermind, it's about 80, 85% female. And I just think it's so awesome. So cool. It's it's a group of entrepreneurs, and there's all these amazing women. And I love it.
Because we're nurturers, we're connectors. Women are connectors and nurturers, and we want to show up and serve for people, right? Like, I also just think like women are coming into their own, like they're ready to step out and make a splash and serve the world in their own way. And they're very over the bro marketing. Like, they're like, come on, man, spice it up a little, like speak to the stuff that actually matters to us, not just like Lambos and bitches. You know what I mean? So I think that stuff has been there.
I think because maybe that's why we have a more female audience, because Lambos and bitches, I find it even hard to say the words. So let's talk about radical responsibility. What does that mean?
Yeah, kind of like what we touched on before, your ability to choose your response to any given situation or circumstance, right? Knowing that you are in control of everything you create and experience in your life. And I always get pushback around this because people are like, well, how am I responsible for growing up poor? Or how am I responsible for the trauma that happened to me? Right. And I totally get it. And this is where I always say, no, it's your your ability to choose how you respond, your ability to choose how you want to show up, your ability to choose the action you want to take, your ability to choose the vibe you want to put out there, your ability to choose who you want to surround yourself with, what you create in your world, regardless of what you've experienced in the past. Right. So I think it always comes down to taking control and realizing that you have power to create the life you want to experience. You have the power to create everything you want to do, have an experience. And when you step into that place of responsibility, taking true responsibility for the people you surround yourself with, the projects you work on, the actions you take, the results you get, the thoughts you think, the words you say, the images in your mind, everything will start to snowball after that.
I love it. I love that so much. So I'm not particularly into poetry, but I will share one brief quote from a poem that actually brought a tear to my eye. And this was very—
That makes me think you are into poetry.
I know, right? But genuinely not. But it's William Ernest Heming. Oh God, I can't get my words out.
Remember that guy, Hemingway?
William Ernest Henley, yes. And the poem's called Invictus, and it's all about that responsibility idea. And he was incarcerated at the time. And the final lines of the poem is, "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." And I think what you just said, I think is one of the most unknown and underrated parts of what it takes to get what you want out of life.
I would say that everyone who has created magic in their life knows it. And that's why they have created magic, because they're not waiting for someone to hand it to them. Right. Yeah. If we've seen anything over the last year, it's like, oh, sweet, I'm just getting stuff handed to me now. Cool. I don't really have to take responsibility or action or do anything for myself, because I just get all these like stimmy checks. It's wild to me. But this is the moment where the courageous step up and create magic for their lives. They don't just wait until like things calm down or things go back to normal. They're like, F that. I'm going to step up and serve even harder right now, because I know this is my time.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's finish up by talking about imposter syndrome. I'm sure that your audience, you've probably spoken to a lot of people in your audience who struggle with this as well. And I have as well. So we've probably had between us hundreds of conversations on this topic. What are your sort of tips for overcoming that?
I think realizing that all imposter syndrome really is, and trust, I've experienced this in such a huge way as I've started to strike out and do my own thing with Millionaire Girls Club. Like, who am I to create Millionaire Girls Club and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And will it really work? And what happens if people don't like it? And as I've kind of waded through that, I've realized a few things. Like, what imposter syndrome really is just the fear of being seen, right? The vulnerability of being seen. Like, what would it look like for you to allow people to see you, the real you, without it being perfect, without you fully being ready yet, without saying the best things or looking the best or being the best on camera? Like, we have all this like pressure that we put on ourselves to get it right. And here's the thing, like, people don't vibe with perfect. They vibe with real. They don't want the highlight reel. They want the highlight reel, REAL. They want to connect with you. They want resonance with you. They don't want perfect. And I think a lot of the time it's just like we want to control how people view us. And therefore we get in this loop of like, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I young enough? Am I techie enough? Am I, a good enough speaker? Am I good enough on video? Will I say the wrong things? Will people show up? Will they buy from me? And we get into this mode of just like saying negative shit about ourselves to ourselves. And it just starts to pick up speed. And the one thing I always remind people is like, it's not about not comparing yourself, right? Like, that's always going to happen. She's better than me. She's prettier than me. She has a bigger audience than me. She has a better team. She has all these opportunities. She has better connections. She has better friends, habits, whatever. It's not about not comparing yourself, because that's always going to happen. It's about learning how to not take those comparisons seriously anymore. It's about learning to not give those comparisons meaning, not making them capital T true. Right? It's about learning to minimize the negativity, not just like, oh, just think positively. I'm a money magnet. No, that stuff does not work when you're in this loop of like, I'm terrible. This will never work. I'm dumb. I'm stupid. I'm whatever. Really catching yourself in those moments and just starting to like minimize the negative stuff you say about yourself. And how could you reframe it to be more empowering? Because that is 90% of the game. Thinking better thoughts, upgrading the way you think, becoming more conscious of the things you think about and say about yourself. That's where the true power lies. That's where the momentum kicks in. And that's how you create magic in your life.
I love it. Jill, that is so fantastic. And for those listening right now, if you want to feel the way you're feeling right now more, and if you want to get insights like the ones you've just had more, Jill, how can they, get in touch with you? How can they follow you? How can they get more of that content?
Well, the best way is over on IG at the Millionaire Girls Club, or my site is millionairegirlsclub.com. I also have a podcast, Millionaire Girls Club podcast. And then you could come hang out with us on Screw the 9 to 5. That's screwthe9to5.com, all spelt out, no numbers.
Love it. Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. And thank you everyone for listening or watching, and we'll see you next time.